languages.
Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangam saranam gacchami. Namam Bapps, Namam Bapps, Namam Bapps. You're doing the welcome.
For the sake of freshness, we're changing things up. The problem is, I forgot we were changing things up. So I was happily sitting there, expecting Reverend Shelley to come and welcome you all. Please know that you are all welcome. We're just happy to see everyone's face here today, new folks and old friends alike. A special welcome to visitors is important, so you had the courage to come and see a new place. That's exciting. We begin our service with the Shoshinge chant and incense offering. For those who are new, the Shoshinge is chanted from this book, which may be located in the seat back pocket in front of you, unless you're in the front row, in which case it's behind you, but okay. I'm not going to do the flight attendant thing with the, oh, I did it. Oops. Okay. This is the book we chant from, and it opens, it's bound on this edge, and it opens this way, and we chant in vertical columns like this, interestingly enough. So another little mind expander for you there. Chant along or read the English translation, it's fine either way. The most important thing is to feel the positive energy that is generated by all of us chanting together. Chanting is a core practice in our tradition. Shinran Shonin, our founder, he's there, the larger picture on the wall of the teachers. He wrote the Shoshinge about 800 years ago, and in it he is compressed all his experience and insights in the Pure Land tradition. It has both our lineage and then the fundamental ideas of our that define our lineage are in this chant. Deep down, it expresses the fundamental principles that guide our lives. Shinran wanted us to know that life is more than a simple journey from cradle to grave. We are part of a long, unbroken thread of life, which extends deep, deep into the past. And we are responsible to extend that thread into the future. And the incense offering. During the Shoshinge chanting, everyone is encouraged to offer incense here at the Oshoko altar. We call it the Oshoko altar, but that actually means the incense altar, which makes more sense. So, Offering incense is a cleansing. In the old days, they thought that the smoke would actually clean the bad juju or the evil spirits from you. We are modern people, so we are smart, so we know that's not real. But deep down, it feels very cleansing to feel that smoke wash over you. Also, when we offer incense, we can experience a tiny transcendence because we put that little particle of incense, of cedar bark, I think it is, onto the charcoal, and it goes from being a separate particle to kind of going out and being one with everything. And in that experience, we can hold gratitude in our heart and thank the teachers in our lives. There are also two other altars in this main hall. On this side is an altar to Kanon Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva of compassion. Some may know him as Kuan Yin. And then this altar is an altar to the medicine Buddha, who offers healing energy to those who suffer. Here on the altar, the high altar, is Amida Buddha, offering boundless wisdom and compassion to us all. Please offer incense with an open heart and deep gratitude to all your teachers.
Shoshin Nembutsuge. Kimyo Muryo Junyorai Namu Fukashigi Ko Hozo Bosai Niji Zai Seiji Zai Obusho Token Shobu Jodo-in Kokudo Ningen Shizen Maku Konru Mujo Shushogan Choho Keu Daiguze Goko Shiui Shishoju Juse Myosho Monjipo Fuho Muryo Muhenko Muge mutai koen no shoujo kangi chie ko udan nanshi mushoko chonichi ga ko shojin sei isai gunjo mukosho hongan myogo shoujo go shishin shingyo ganni in joto gakusho dai neihan Hishi metendo ganjoju nyorai shoi koshu se yui se mida hongon kai gojoku wakuji gunjo kai oshin nyorai nyojitgon noho ichinen kiai shin fudan bon no tokune han honsho gyaku hosai einu Nyoshu shinyu kaichimi seishu shinko joshogo ino sui ha mumyoan tonnai shinzo shi unmu jofu shinji shinjin ten hinyoni kofu unmu shige myomuan yakushin kenkyo daikyo ki Sokuo chose go akushu Isai zen makubon bunin Monshin yorai guzegan Butengon kodai shoge sha Zenin yo fundarike Mida buhon gannen bu Chaken kyo man akushu jo Shingyo juji jinni nan Nanju shina mukashi Indo saiten shironge Jukaji chiki shikoso Kendai shoko se shoi Myo nyorai honze oki Shaka nyorai yoga sen 一種五名南天竺流樹大事出頭生出の財派有無権先生大乗無情法召喚議事小安楽賢治南行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願次年即時入筆上結の上昇如来語王法大悲偶然音天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下根如来永寿ただ謙信寺高専王朝大聖願こういう本願力栄光移動群上小維新記入功徳大崩壊筆脈入大永寿宗特使蓮華造世界即称信用法昇進有本の人間人図入賞自由自王下本自動乱両天使上皇乱書菩薩来三蔵ルシ十条教本書宣行気楽法天神菩薩論主下報道因果見世願方言栄光有他力少女死因唯信心惑前本部新人法承知承知即涅槃必死無量光明道小宇宙上開復系同社継承道南書有名浄土活入万千自力変言宗円満特語感染症三風三神慶音言増魔法明道非因一生増惑地偶税思安妖怪称妙化全道独名部所意公愛上三有逆惑公明明語見因念介入本願大智慧行者小樹金剛心狂気一年総合用意大東逆三人即称法称四条楽原神公開一大教変気安養管理祭先祖出身反戦人法家二道小弁流極十悪人唯勝部火薬剤非正集中煩悩証言水不見大悲無見上昇が本次元苦妙仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現来生じ臨伝芸慶地義上位小子即入弱上無意楽非知心自人の入苦境大事修士と上妻無変極辱悪同族自主愚道心唯過心し高祖世ナムアミダブナムアミダブナ ダハムナムワアミダブナアムワミダアムナムミダジョブのこの方は今に自己をへたまえりほしんのこうりえぬきわもなくせのもみょうを照らすなりナムアミダムナムアミダムナムワアミダブナアミダブナムワアミダブナムワアミダブナムワアミダブナムワアミダブナムゲダの降臨きはもなし高速かむるものはみなうむを離ると述べたも平等確に奇妙せよ栄光がんにしくどく平等正祭道本母大神お嬢はらこナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマ
we were going to change things up, but it's me again. That's a change. So, the reading today is the parable on the thin white path. You may have noticed the thin white path in the Hondo. For those of you listening at home, there's a thin white path running up and down the middle of the Hondo. You may not see it in the video. The parable of the thin white path, written in the year 653 of the Common Era, from Venerable Zendo's commentary on the Meditation Sutra. I want to speak to everyone who dreams of birth in the pure land of clarity and bliss. I will now present this parable for practicers. It will protect their faith and guard it against attacks by those who offer contrary, wrong, and misguided views. What is a parable? Imagine you are traveling many thousands of miles towards the west in a deserted plain. On the way, you come upon two rivers crossing your route. One is a river of fire, and the other is a river of water. The two rivers are each 100 paces wide and very deep, extending endless to the north and south. Where they meet, there is a thin white path, 4 or 5 inches wide. This path of 100 paces reaches from the east bank to the west. The roiling waters of the water splash, and the flames of the fire burn the path without stopping. You have already journeyed far across the open plain, where there is no one to be found. Suddenly, across the plain to the northeast, there appear many crazed bandits, and to the southeast, many vicious beasts. Seeing you and seeing that you are alone, they approach, fighting each other to be the first to reach you. Afraid of being attacked, you run to the west, coming to the great twofold river. You think to yourself, this river runs as far as my eye can see, both to the north and to the south. But I also see a thin white path in the middle. But it is so thin. Although it is just 100 yards to the other shore, how can I get across? I think I may die this day. When you turn around to go back, you see the bandits coming closer and closer. If you try to run towards the north or the south, you see that the beasts are blocking your path. Vicious tigers, wolves, snakes, and poisonous insects challenge each other to attack you. If you take the thin white path to the west, you will certainly fall into the two rivers of fire and water. Your terror in this moment is beyond expression. So you think to yourself, if I turn back now, I will die. If I go forward, I will die. If I stay here, I will die. Back here. If I go forward, I will die too. Since I cannot escape death in any way, I would rather follow this path, because there is a path, maybe it is possible to cross. When this thought occurs to you, you suddenly hear the voice of Shakyamuni Buddha from the eastern shore, that's the side we're on, gently urging you, take the white path with confidence. There is no danger of death. If you stay there, you will have great suffering. And then you hear Amida Buddha's voice calling from the other shore, urging you forward. Come just as you are, it urges. It will be fine if you travel the thin white path. Come at once with right mindfulness. You are protected. Have no fear of falling into the rivers of water and fire. Since you hear both voices urging you from one shore and calling you from the other, you boldly step onto the path without doubt. You start walking carefully on the narrow path between the two rivers. About halfway across, with the fires lapping at your body to the right and the waves crashing against you from the left, you lose focus for a moment. You hear the voices of the bandits behind calling, "You will die if you continue on that path," they say. "Come back. We won't hurt you. We have your best interest at heart. We know better than you." But another voice rises above the calls of the beasts and bandits. From the eastern shore, Shakyamuni Buddha is urging you forward. "Keep going. Don't listen to them, beastly bandits. You're on the right path." As you take a few more steps, you can hear the voices of the bandits to the east. "Come back. The path is dangerous. You can't do it. You're sure to die." Though you hear their voices, you do not look back. You go straight on this path with singleness of heart. You bravely continue on, and in no time, you reach the western shore. Now you are free from danger. What a great relief. Freedom. All burdens relieved. All fears gone. There you meet your good Dharma friend, Amida Buddha, and joy overflows. Boundless joy. We will now have a few minutes of meditation accompanied by music.
Such long sleeves. I love them, but they can be difficult. Okay. Good morning. So lovely to see all of you. Welcome, welcome. Looks like yesterday's cold, stormy weather brought us some sunshine today. Still a little chilly though, but that's okay. It's spring. Happy spring. We gather here to celebrate the spring equinox. On this special day, there is a perfect balance between daylight and darkness. It is a natural example of balance, a middle way sort of day. For the Buddhists in particular, this twice-a-year event is important. Dr. Matsunaga, our temple founder, always used to say that it reminds us of the natural balance in life and to try to maintain a sense of equanimity each day, a middle day. In ancient Buddhist societies, the equinox was a natural reminder of Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings of the middle way. In most places, equinox day has mild weather, and the hard work of farmers has not yet begun. It's a good time to learn the Dharma of moderation. Our Shin Buddhist tradition, today, this holiday we call Ohigan, which translates as the other shore day. In the Alagadupama Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha describes the Dharma as a raft that has to be grasped correctly to cross from this shore, the eastern shore of our Saha world, to the other shore of the Western world, the clarity and understanding shore of Amida Buddha. The metaphor of the other shore is common in Buddhism, meaning the non-dual state of seeing reality as it is. On this special day, we pause and reflect on this Dharma. Today's reading was from one of our teachers, Zendo. He's up on this wall behind me. Zendo describes the parable of the thin white path. What should we make of this parable? It's very interesting. Zendo explained it this way. The eastern shore is this burning house that we live in, the Saha world. The western shore is the treasure country of utmost peace. Amida Buddha's pure kshetra, a Buddha field, generated by his 48 vows. The bandits calling with feigned friendship refer to sentient beings' 6 sense organs, 6 consciousnesses, 6 sense bases, and their outflows. The bandits and beasts are mostly just inside of us, but they can be external too. The traveler begins on the open plain where no one is to be found. This refers to always mixing with unskilled friends. Seldom do we have a chance to meet a true and good teacher. And the 2 rivers of water and fire. These are the streams that flow in all sentient beings of wanting and blind emotions. The river of water is our insatiable thirst for everything, for objects and material things, but most of all, for the I, me, myself we want to preserve at all cost. The river of fire is our blind passions that contain anger and hatred burning like fire inside of us at times. The white path in the middle, 4 or 5 inches wide, shows that a pure aspiration for spiritual growth arises from within us. Evil passions of greed and anger do not need to be there. We can follow this thin white path. Since greed and anger are intense, they are compared to turbulent water and raging fire. Since a good mind is faint, it is compared to the thin white path. Further on, waves always splash the path, describes the greed constantly arising, distorting our good mind, and flames always burning the path shows that anger and hatred burn the Dharma treasure of virtue. The traveler takes the path westward, shows that he proceeds toward enlightenment by leaving behind what is untrue. Hearing a voice from the eastern shore urging him to proceed, he takes the path to the west. Shows that even though Shakyamuni has already passed away and people can no longer see him, his teaching still exists and can be followed. Through his teaching, he raises his voice, urging us onward. We continue to hear him right now. As you walk on the path, bandits call you to return. Shows that people of different understandings, different practices, and misguided views confuse you with their false ideas, saying that you can't do it. You will fall from the path. The one on the western shore calling to you refers to the purpose of Amida's great vow, to rescue beings from suffering. The transformative Nembutsu, the name that calls, Namu Amida Butsu, Namandabu. It calls to us from the other shore. In no time, he reaches the western shore and rejoices seeing his good Dharma friend. Shows that sentient beings who have long been sinking in the ocean of birth and death guided Shakyamuni to proceed west and are welcome by Amida's great compassion. Transmigrating from the eternal past, deluded and bound by our karma, we cannot set ourselves free. Faithfully following the two Buddhas, we step onto the path, taking refuge in vow power, mindful of the Buddha. We proceed unafraid of these two rivers of water and fire. Living life in deep faith, we will be born into Sukhavati, where we will see the Buddha with boundless joy. That is Zendo's explanation. Who is Zendo? You know him. You do. You chant his name. Zendo Dokusho. From page 24 of our Shoshinge. He was born in 613 of the Common Era. Zendo is one of our 7 important lineage teachers. He was born in Anhui province near Nanking, China. He entered the Buddhist priesthood as a young man and devoted himself to the study of the larger sutra of the Pure Land Sutras. One day he saw a painting of the Pure Land, which led him to aspire for it. He visited Mount Lu and other famous places to study and practice the Pure Land teachings. And for several years he lived at Wuchen Temple on Mount Changnan. There he devoted himself to contemplating Amida and the Pure Land with the Pratnupana Samadhi, working on the complex visualizations of the Meditation Sutra. And for those of us who have been studying the Meditation Sutra in our Dharma book group, we've gotten a taste of how truly difficult those visualizations are. But he studied them for several years until he mastered them, visualizing them in full detail. When he was about 20, he went to see Venerable Tao Cho, also a teacher in our lineage, and became his student. While attending Tao Cho's lectures on the Meditation Sutra, he continued to deepen his practice and finally attained the Nembutsu Samadhi, completely visualizing Amida and the land of bliss. In those days, the Meditation Sutra was popular among Buddhist scholars, but their interpretations were often unacceptable to Zendo. He wrote a 4-chapter commentary on this sutra and clarified the view of his teachers, Donran and Tao Cho. He hand-copied the sutras more than 1,000 times and crafted 300 paintings of the Pure Land. His greatest contribution to Pure Land Buddhism was clarifying the deep meaning of Nembutsu. It is not just an act of aspiration. It is an effective practice. Zendo's explanation of the name Namu Amida Butsu is based on his Nembutsu Samadhi experience. When he experienced Amida as the embodiment of the pure positive karma generated as a bodhisattva, all that is required for birth is to receive and make use of Amida's positive karma by simply repeating the name with singleness of mind and an open heart. Namu Amida Butsu. And what is Shinran's explanation? Shinran is our lineage founder of this parable of the thin white path. Shinran explains it this way. In the parable, the two rivers, the white path, just 4 or 5 inches wide, has this meaning. It is white to signify the purity of Amida Buddha's meritorious acts on our behalf, his positive karma. Amida has the path across the raging rivers and with the vow, Amida's pure karmic actions, dedicated to us for our spiritual growth, so we can reach enlightenment. This contrasts with other paths of seemingly skillful actions on our part, things we do out of ignorance and passion, misguidedly thinking they will bring us spiritual growth. Shinran made much of the path and not the road. The path refers to the clear path of truth. In the primal vow, the supreme great path leading to the great and complete nirvana. The width of the path, just 4 or 5 inches wide, very narrow. You could see how scary that might be. Leading to great nirvana, this speaks to the 4 noble truths and the 5 aggregates, the 5 skandhas that constitute interdependent co-arising of all sentient beings. A pure aspiration for birth arises means attainment of diamond-hard true faith. We call this shinjin. Let's all say that. Shinjin. Yeah, diamond-hard true faith in our hearts and minds. It is a piece of or experience of an ocean of great faith. We experience a piece of that seen from our limitations, but truly all faith is the same faith. Every one of our faiths is the same faith as Amida Buddha's. It does not really belong to us. Created by the vow power of the ocean of great faith is indestructible. So Shinran compares it to diamond. He wrote this verse: having met the power of the primal vow, none of us passes life in vain. Our life becomes the treasure ocean that is filled with wonderful qualities. The muddied water, our selfish passions, become an inseparable part of the treasure ocean. Shinran heard Amida's call in the parable, and we can too. If we only listen with a true and trusting heart, we hear Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings and encouragement every time we gather here together. They help us stay on that thin white path. He is here with us. I know it is not easy, but that path leads to freedom and dissolves our fear of death. It releases us into freedom to actually live our lives right now. The Pure Land, truly and trusting in Amida Buddha, as we walk this path, we begin to see that we have both good and bad in us, wholesome and unwholesome qualities. That is the whole beauty of Mahayana Buddhism. We are okay just as we are. We have to be, or we are lost. The bandits and beasts would consume us. The parable has some wonderful insights into the pressures and difficulties of our 21st century life. We have all walked the desolate and lonely shores traveled by the lonely traveler. We've all been there. We have all seen the bandits and felt that doubt or fear or worry. Experts who think we should be more terrified. We watch too much news. The beasts of humanity, the brutality, the severe unkindness. Seeking power over us, they use fear to control. That is the bad news part of our Saha world. But the good news is the parable illustrates the call of Amida, and it describes our spiritual journey, which is so important today. Our spiritual journey with Buddha Shakyamuni, supporting us from this Saha world. There are lots of distractions here with bandits and beasts threatening us. How often do we really recognize that life is a spiritual journey? When we can see it that way, we go to the edge of the river and we visualize the white path across. In the history of the world, only recently have regular people been invited to recognize life is a spiritual journey. It is so important that we connect to what is essential. Not just here on Sunday morning, but every day remind yourself what is essential, the spiritual life. We can see the flow of our life as a journey, like the traveler in the parable, our spiritual journey. We might be a little lost at times, but we can see the other shore clearly because we are not alone. Traveling along with us are bodhisattvas, Kannon, and Seishi, here to help us. We are surrounded by help. We are not really alone at all. Amida is calling. Shakyamuni is teaching in ways we can understand, and we can have the courage to step on the white path every day. We get up and embrace life. Step on that white path. Like the traveler, we step with courage and compassion and wisdom. Every day we can hear the name that calls, and we deeply hear the light of Amida calling from the other shore. Come on, you can do it. You're okay, just as you are. Important question. Do we hear the call of Amida Buddha? Do we hear Amida's reassurance? It is okay. Come on. Step boldly onto the path. We don't feel unsure. Simply having the courage and faith, taking those first few steps, we realize that what looks like just a few inches wide is actually very stable. It's expansive and safe. Just like the traveler realized, it's the only path onward. When you reach that point, Zendo called it the stage of non-retrogression. That means with just one courageous step, you are not going back into that beastly bandit world. You are guaranteed enlightenment in the Pure Land just by stepping on the path. It is guaranteed, as George would say. That is what I think about Zendo's parable of the thin white path. The Buddhist path is a middle way. Carefully we balance our way between the river of water and river of fire. We balance our way like walking a path just 4 or 5 inches wide. We seek the dynamic middle in all things, as Reverend Matsunaga used to say, not too much and not too little. That is the way. To finish, let's share Amida Buddha's great wish for all beings. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you receive boundless compassion. And may peace and harmony fill your heart. Namandaps, 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 namandaps. Thank you so very much for sharing this precious Dharma today. It is invaluable. And please have courage to continue. You're here today, so you've stepped on that path. You're on it. Please continue. Let us rise and sing our temple song, Home in the Meadow. On page 49 of the service book. Away, away, come away with me, where the grass grows wild and the winds blow free. Away, away, come away with me, and I'll build you a home in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. The stars, oh how bright and far, on the world of pure and eternal law. The stars, oh how bright they'll shine, on the home we will build in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. You may be seated. Thank you very much. We have some announcements today. So our big announcement is that we are offering our Moon Rabbit Cafe. It's our community pay what you can cafe. We took a hiatus over the winter time, but we will open it back up April 9th from 4 to 6. And we'll offer our full dining experience downstairs and our waiting room up here, just like the old days. So that's what we'll be doing, and it is Hungarian food, authentic Hungarian food. Our chef is Hungarian, and these are her great-grandmother's recipes. So it'll be very special. So please plan to come on that day, and if you would like to volunteer, we can always use help on Friday prep day or the day of the dinner. And as always, we have tea time downstairs. We would love to see you, have some tea and treats, and have Sangha time together and share good Dharma discussions. And at the same time, we have Newcomer Circle downstairs, and Reverend Matthew and George will be there to answer your questions and have an engaging conversation about RBC and about our wonderful Dharma. So, thank you very much, and we will see you soon.